Hello. Whoa. Good morning. Bam. Good morning. See anything behind me? Um. So yes, it is about to be summer, and the rhubarb is coming up like mad, I guess. I took my time, picked through them, and I selected some rhubarb from the farmer's market. This is some of the reddest rhubarb I've gotten, and it was the reddest one they had there. So I'm assuming red is good. I've never actually grown my own rhubarb. I've only had it a few times. I'm not a big rhubarb eater. Um, I don't dislike it. It's just not something I reach for typically. And I don't have a place to grow it myself. It doesn't work in a pot. So I have not grown my own rhubarb. So we're going to play with rhubarb a little bit. Yeah, that's the plan. Play with some rhubarb. I did thaw out, or I guess mostly thaw out a piece of meat over here. Still a little stiff in the middle, so I'm going to leave that right up until the point when I need it. It's just in some cool water in the sink. The water is a huge thermal sink, so it will push into the ice, it'll equalize it, and that's how you quickly thaw something in a water bath. It's currently in a plastic bag, so it's not getting soggy. I've also got, if you were watching my brand new Instagram, Jovial_Jovian, because I couldn't get it without the underscore. Hooray. Um, I was making frozen ramp cubes last night. Here they are. Here's some of them. Nice and rock hard and frozen. We just blanched. I decided not to do this as a live thing because it was very dull and repetitive. And I also did it at a weird time of night. I don't know. I just decided not to do it as a show. But we just took the ramps. You'll remember the ramps. They were gifted to me. Uh, but I was just taking them, blanching them for somewhere between 15 and 25 seconds. They're not all the same because I was doing them a scoop at a time and lost track of how many seconds they were in there. So we're just blanching them, and then I so I washed them, blanched them, washed them twice more, and then we just packed them into ice cube trays and let them freeze overnight. And then the stuff that didn't fit in the ice cube trays, I stuck in my food processor and turned into this. Which now that those blocks are frozen, I want to freeze this. Look at that vibrant green. Oops, we don't need that anymore. Look at that. It's a very nice green. I'm hoping this will be a nice intense ramp flavor. We'll probably use some of this one because it's not yet frozen today, and then freeze the remainder. Saizan, you're first. Saizan, you're moistening me. Moist. It is not ramp pesto. It is literally just ramps stuck in the food processor and minced into oblivion. I plan on freezing it, the remainder, but we don't use today. I was just talking about the ramps because I decided they were holding up fairly well in the fridge still, and I think it was because they were so tightly packed. The ones on the outer surface of the bundle were getting a little wilty and creepy and spotty. But once I peeled those away, the ones in the middle looked like new, bright, fresh, crisp. So I didn't lose very many ultimately. Um, I was just talking about it. So yesterday I washed them, blanched them, washed them again, and packed them into ice cube trays. These are not minced up. These are just packed. And then when all my ice cube trays were full up, I stuck all the remainder in the food processor and just blitzed the heck out of it to make this. Which now that those are frozen, I want to get them out of their trays, stick this in the trays, and freeze this. But we're going to use a little bit of it today before I do that. Otherwise, yeah, we've got rhubarb. We've got some meat that's just about perfectly thawed. I want to make sure it is actually soft to the middle. It doesn't have an icy center so that it can cook properly. So we're going to leave it in there up until the very moment I need it. And I'm just kind of winging it. Yes. Everything I read about preserving ramps said to blanch them. So I went ahead and blanched all of them. We had quite a lot of them. Look, woman, you've got rhubarb too. It is rhubarb season. There was so much rhubarb at the farmer's market. I picked up the reddest one I could find on the assumption that red is good. I honestly, I don't think I've ever cooked with rhubarb before, so this is going to be some kind of fun. They hid one of the less red ones in the middle. Just like you do with asparagus. You hide the short, gnarly ones in the middle. So yeah. We should probably dust off the countertop here. We should probably get rolling. I'm not 100% on what all I want to do. Oh, you know. I got on one of these beasties. Remember these beasties? With their weird exteriors? This could be our side. I don't really want to reach for rice or noodles or something to have a side, but we could slice into the breadfruit here and have like a breadfruit starch side with this. Since I do love breadfruit so much, I can't stop talking about it. Yeah. Okay. Let's go over to the countertop. Plunk down our rhubarb. So I was thinking rhubarb is sour, right? Get off the board. Rhubarb is a tart, fruity flavor, but it's a vegetable. So if we just take the tip off and take a taster just to refresh my memory on it. Oh, it's pretty sour by itself. But it's a vegetable. So it's sturdy like a vegetable. We could treat it like a vegetable as instead of a fruit. Just like when we have because we have a bunch of savory fruits that we pretend are vegetables culinarily, but we also have to we cook them more like they're fruits. Well, no, I don't expect it to stay rigid. I expect it to act a lot like a celery because it's a fibrous stalk, and celery goes pretty soft. Um, and I know you can't eat the leaf part. The leaf parts are the not good parts. So if we just snip them off there. Let's see. If I had a sour vegetable, what would I use to balance it out? Yeah, soft and smushy. That's what celery. Have you never cooked celery? That's what celery does. It goes soft and mushy. Uh, oh, speaking of my celery's gone a little bit floppy because I didn't have it in the crisper drawer. That's what happens when you don't have it in the crisper drawer. Especially that one. It's all wrinkly. Okay. Okay. I got out some celery because of the visual similarities. Gonna prove you guys wrong. Well, I'm gonna prove my method can overcome. The heck is that? Okay. Look, I'm tired of all you naysayers. When I try to do something, you're like, no, 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 don't do that. No, 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 don't put potatoes and cheese in a wok. Um, okay, 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 okay. Let's get this guy out. I think I want to put this in a quick marinade. We have here, it's been in the freezer a bit because this came as a 2-pack and I used one of them and I froze the other one. So this is a little worse for wear, so it'll probably take well to a marinade. That is your job. I appreciate it. Before I actually get that out of there, we're going to move the wooden board and get out the nylon board because I'm going to work with meat. So that doesn't look that bad. This is a pork shoulder steak. I'm going to save the bag because I think we're going to do a marinade right in the bag. So this probably would take a bit of a longer marinade. Oh, there's a little bit of an icy chunk right there still. That's not ideal. So this has a section of shoulder blade running right through it, and it's also got a very substantial fat cap, which, and some more shot through over here, which I think I want to trim, because I don't think we're going to cook it long enough. I don't think we're going to cook it quite long enough to get that fat cap rendered out. Or we cook it a long time in like a braise, and then the fat cap becomes very, very tender. Shoulder is often served as a roast. Sugar, you say? Shocker, surprised. I'm, as the kids say, shook. So we could try a braise. We're still in the brainstorming session. We're still in the brainstorming section. This has been happening more and more often, where, especially on Saturday, where I get an ingredient in the morning, and then we are still in the brainstorming section of development when I get to the actual cook. So there's a bit of a slowdown. I've been a big fan of these pork shoulder sections as meat lately. Although I do not buy a lot of meat these days at all, on account of them being very steak-like but still cheap like pork. Especially in the winter, which is when I got this one, during the cheap pork season. I'm not sure what I want to do with it. So this one's been in there for at least a couple months. So it's a good time to use it. What do I want to do with it? What do I want to do with it? You know, I'm going to start throwing stuff at the wall now. Directly at the wall. Okay. So we're going to take a scoop of our ramp paste. We're going to take some I guess the humidity got to my sugar dish. We're going to take some granulated white sugar. We're going to take some one good pinch of salt. Rinse the sugar and salt off my hand. We're going to take one of our rhubarbs. I'm going to move this so that I don't have to keep climbing around it. We're going to take one of our rhubarbs and we're going to don't need nice pieces. I just need small pieces, thin pieces. So okay. One of our pieces of rhubarb, which is about the same volume as that amount of ramp I put in there. We'll put that in there. Garlic. I think we're just throwing stuff. I think we're just in full experiment mode right now. I think we're just gonna see what happens. I'm going for a crush and mince this time instead of a fine paste, like I often do. That's because I feel like it. Okay. I would like to add to that, coming to the tail end, a little bit of molasses, which I'm coming to the very end of. So this is going to be a little bit of a slow, oops, they're right in the middle. A little bit of molasses. My molasses is running out here. To pretend that we have brown sugar. I think we're probably going to call the molasses a day. A little bit of this stuff, which is balsamic reduction, but it's the cheapo balsamic. Not good. I can't find the good expensive balsamic around here. Some soy sauce, even though we've got salt in there. A tiny dash of liquid smoke. Some Worcestershire. And some dry stuff. Black pepper. Powdered ginger. dried mint. And a little bit of water. Grab your favorite whisk. Tinier the better. Get everything dissolved. I almost want to stick it through a blender, but I don't want to get my blender dirty. We might... I've been noticing the tiny whisk here has been showing a little wear and tear. Mmm. 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 That's a thing. Ooh, that's a thing. That's a very... Oh man, I almost want to thicken it up a little bit by adding more herbs. Let me jump outside real quick. What herbs should I add? I've changed my mind. I like the flavor. I don't want to mess with the flavor too much because I quite like how the flavor is sitting right now. But I want it to be a little bit chunkier, thicker, more grabby. Which honestly means that I should have added less water. The garlic powder, but I think we're adding... I'm gonna add a little bit of tapioca just to see if we can't thicken it. We have an ad coming up. And there's the ad. I'm gonna add a little bit of tapioca because I want it to be a little bit thicker. Although it can't be too thick. Maybe we just use it as is, and then I can try to combine it with fresh herb in part 2. Turn it into a sauce. Turn the excess marinade into a sauce. Not going to be marinating for very long either way. I don't have one. I don't have a needle tenderizer, but a needle tenderizer would be great right now. I'm hoping that the pork has simply broken down a bit from being frozen to the point where it's a little more receptive to a quick marinade. And I am actually going to bring it back. I'm losing the plot a little bit. Board away. Meat board back. We're going to take that fat cap off because it is too thick, too large for the cooking method I'm going for today. Oop, I cut into the muscle meat there. We don't want that. That's the part we want to save. Hi, Selena. Thank you. This is actually a little bit gnarly because it's been my freezer, but I've been very impressed with this cut. This is a pork shoulder steak. You can see the shoulder blade piece right there. And I've used one of these before on the show, treated it a lot like a beefsteak, and it behaved a lot like a beefsteak. I know that for a slow cooking purposes, the big chunk of fat on a pork shoulder is very desirable. But I want to cook this one a little bit more like a steak, which means we can't have quite as large of a fat quantity. Although we could try rendering that. That might be fun. This internal piece here is not going to get trimmed out. But welcome in. We're doing rhubarb and steak. And I kind of want to do one of these, especially with that chunk there. Just to so I'm just perforating it as you would with like a needle mallet to try to speed up the intake of the marinade. And let's do it to that fat piece as well, just to loosen it up. Normally there's a tool for this so the cuts aren't obvious. And I'm hoping this doesn't end up being real ugly when I cook it. Okay, so we're going to put it back in the bag I got it from. We're going to wash my hand on account of raw pork. But yes, I agree. It's a nice looking piece of meat. And it's been in my freezer for a couple months, so it's also a nice looking piece of meat even at this stage. And then we're going to take our marinade because I should have done that a while ago, which is why I wanted to hasten it up. I don't have a million years to marinate this, so hopefully this will give us a good, quick infusion of flavors. And salt. Okay, and that's going to hang out over here until I'm ready to cook it. We've got a bit of pork fat that I kind of want to use as the fat in our pan when we cook it. which would require me to do some nice slow rendering. Thank you. This one was a gift. So I'm going to get out the pan that I plan on cooking the meat in here. And actually, we're going to take these fat pieces and we're going to slice them up. Now, I've never done this before. Try to use the fat trimmings as pan fat. But I have done it with bacon, and that's essentially the same concept. If you cook bacon in your pan, the fat renders out, and then you can cook other things in the rendered fat. So I just want to render this part out at a lower temperature, then bring it up when we want to cook the meat. This should be the last time I need to handle the meat raw until I put the steak in here. So I'm going to wash my hands, wash my board, wash my knife, so that again we don't have to think about it. The biggest advantage to washing meaty hands and tools right away is that you don't have to think about what's got meat on it and what doesn't, what you can touch safely. Okay. Okay. I think we got a plan. I think I've got a reasonable plan in my head. Bring this board back. Put the heat on the pork fat just to start it. Let's do it on the back burner in case I want to use this front burner while that's getting rendery on me. Oh my God. Well, I mean, maybe. I haven't asked the person I got this particular shirt from. Let's crack into this thing and see how it is, because these have all been slightly different, I've noticed. That's that nice starchy smell. Remember the last time we had one of these and it was weird? In particular, it was sweet because it was very overripe. This guy has that lovely starchy, bready smell to it. And you can see the nice cross section with the little, he's still a little bit soft. We're gonna take that core out. They had it at Woodman's and I purchased one to find out what the heck it was like, and I fell in love with it. It was literally me just trying stuff. This is why I always want to try new stuff, because you never know. You never know when the next thing is going to be your next favorite thing. Uh, the nubbin is going to be a little bit... The only thing I don't like about it is the peeling, because it's got this weird scaly skin that doesn't come off in nice peels. It just breaks apart when you try to hit it with a peeler. Otherwise, it'd be great. I'd run a classic vegetable peeler over it, but it just doesn't like that. And I've done other things. I've tried other things here on the show, and they weren't as amazing. Um, I don't find myself reaching for Tamarillo, for example, super often. But I'm glad I tried it. I'm glad I try these things, because you never know. This one ended up being one of my favorite things overall. I kind of want to treat these like a potato, like a home fries. If I cut them into more like sticks. Kind of. Oop, okay, well, let's just do that with that one. Okay, okay. And then they need a little bit of oil. Toss them around, get them coated. They'll try to soak up the oil like a potato would, like an eggplant would. So don't go nuts with the oil. You need a little bit to lube them. And then I guess we're going to go with salt and pepper and smoked paprika. Looks good. Looks good. Looks good. Okay. And that should be enough for the plate. Let's, since I sliced up one of these to use in the pork mixture, let's get another one out. Cut everybody into nice-ish sized pieces. See, I think we can hit these guys with high heat, high quick heat, sear them, and they won't go completely to mush. I believe we can do that. I think you guys have been cooking them in manners that lend them to going completely to mush, and I believe we can avoid that. What flavors go with, what savory flavors go with rhubarb? Ooh, why is that tab open? A vegetable of celery and rhubarb is such a strange duck here. Go back out, look for herbs. Let's grab some mint. Some sage. And some rosemary. Remind me to water the rosemary. Well, I'll probably water everybody. It's really hot. Okay, get our leafy herbs off of their woody stems. We might need another piece of rosemary when we actually get to the pork itself. I picked up a new kind of mint that I'm not familiar with. It's very minty. It's called chocolate mint. I'm unclear why, other than the fact that the stems are brown. It's because it doesn't taste or smell like chocolate. Well, tastes like mint and sage. Very minty. Very minty. Don't forget, mint. Nothing about mint is inherently a sweet flavor. Savory mint is definitely a thing you can do. No reason not to. It's definitely a cultivar of spearmint. It has that clean spearminty mintiness to it. It's actually a quite pronounced mintiness. Okay. Minced herbs. Is mint butter a thing? Or should I say, does mint butter sound like it could be a thing? Experiment with that right now. Get out a piece of butter. Go melt this butter. Add it to our gently melt the butter. Add it to our herbs. The herbs can be on this. Pork fat's looking pretty rendery. That seems to be working fine. Bookwoman's making a face about the mint butter. Mint and mango sounds pretty good. The thing is, I know for a fact that mint goes with strongly flavored meats, like gamey meat flavors. Little spatula. So added some melted butter to some herbs, mint, sage, and rosemary. Which should start giving us an infusion of flavors. For later, when I need an infusion of flavors. Okay. Our pork fat is looking very shriveled up, but not fully shriveled up. So we're going to push it around. with a pot holder to ensure we're getting every little bit out of there that we can. We might save the crispy bits as well. Pushing it kind of to the side where the fat was pooling so that it can get more heat immersion. I almost said where the fat was fooling. Ad starts in a minute. Okay. Pork fat, it's not smoking. Well, it's smoking a little bit, so we're going to actually turn that down just a scooch. I don't want that to scorch. I'm going to end up getting a bunch of pans out real quick here. Pans of that one. And I guess this one. No, this one. Okay, that guy needs some oil. This guy needs some oil. Or did this guy not want that much oil? I think the front one didn't want that much oil. We might end up with a bit of a greasy result. Okay. I think we're just about gonna start. I'm gonna turn this back guy on to medium. Do I want to put some sweet in my... I do. I'm going to add some honey to my buttery herbs to make honey buttery herbs. Because honey butter is a pretty good savory combo, sort of savory sweet combo, and I do agree that we need a bit of sugar to balance out the tartness. But I don't want this to be a sweet thing. It's not a dessert. It's not a dessert. I'm going to attempt to make rhubarb as a vegetable. We're going to stick to that. We're going to stick to that nonsense. Starting... I move this pan. The pan's not hot, and I don't need it yet. We're starting that because the breadfruit is going to take a good minute to cook. Butter. Butter. Breadfruit's going to take a good minute to cook. It cooks a little bit faster than potatoes, but it cooks similarly to potatoes, so it's going to take a bit of time. God, I hope that pan doesn't... I hope it doesn't stick in that pan. I really hope it doesn't stick in this pan. I've had potatoes stick in this pan, and they just kind of glue on the bottom. But they're much starchier than breadfruit, so here's hoping. Our pork fat bits are looking very crispy now. Rendered pork fat has a pretty high smoke point. It's good for high heat applications. I think we're gonna move. We're gonna get the we're gonna get those bits out of there because I don't want them to be in there when I put the meat in that pan. I wish I had a small slotted spoon. These guys all seem pretty crispy. And crispy indicates that they've given up all of their fats, but also crispy is an appealing texture for lots of things. So we'll set those to the side. That pan, I think, is getting just about hot. So let's throw these in here. Get them a tossy toss. And a nudge around so that they're not riding up on each other. They do need to actually touch the pan. Okay, breadfruits are started. If the breadfruits are a knockin'. Tell you what, while those are getting started, I'm going to do a side project. With these guys. You get them out of there. If we can. They might be hard to get out of there. I do have an offset blunt knife that I think might be super useful in this situation to get under them. Oof. These guys are going to be tricky to get out of here. Well, they're definitely hard, but I might actually need to run water over the back of this thing in order to convince them to let go. Which I'm not going to do right now. I can get one of the other ones out. I do have some that were in silicone ice cube trays, which are stretchy, so you can get them out. And then you get this nice, weird, diamond-shaped thing. Acid neutralizer. No. Please clarify. Oh, the acid that's in rhubarb is the acid that makes it toxic. It's also the acid that makes it sour. There's high concentrations of oxalic acid in the leaf parts, and there's just a small amount in the stem, but that's what makes it. That's what gives it that sharp, sour flavor. So enjoy rhubarb in moderation. I have no knowledge of a specific neutralizer. Okay, these guys are not sticking, which I love. I gotta say, breadfruit as a stovetop option, way, way easier to work with than potatoes. Because they don't have the loose starches that potatoes have, that sort of moshy surface that they develop. Breadfruit never gets that. As far as I can tell, never gets that. I mean, it's an acid, so you can add any base will neutralize an acid. For example, baking soda, which goes in cakes. Okay. Our smoking pan of pork fat, I think, is ready to go. If I'm going to make a sauce, I need the sauce to be... Make a pan sauce? We might make a pan sauce. Although I'm worried about putting that much acidity in the pan there. So the sauce might end up having to be in a separate pot. An hour 12, and we're gonna already start the main event, which doesn't take terribly long. I'm doing the meat before I do the vegetable, because I want the vegetable to be on high. I want to attempt to sear rhubarb without turning it to mush. Okay. This guy is going in the pan. This is going in our other pan. To be turned into a sauce. We're washing our hands. Oh my god, it smells so good! Holy crap! Wow! The room is filled with just wow! The room is filled with wow. I think those guys are probably done. I can test them the same way you would with a potato. They're also getting a little bit crunchily on the one side. So they are coming off the heat, coming out. Their flavors were already on them. But I'm going to give them the pork crackly fat bits as a garnish. Set them aside. This stuff. The smell that came off of this when I put it in that pan. Wow. I'm not even sure what all is in that smell. The marinade is going to be simmered down, and we're going to attempt to turn it into a sauce. Don't know how well it's going to work, but we're going to attempt. Our steak is bleeding a little bit, right at the bone, so I think that actually might be blood this time. Usually when red fluid comes out of a piece of meat, it's not blood. It's intracellular fluid. Which this still could be. But since it's coming from the bone, it might be a little bit of blood that was caught in the bone. We're going to need tongs for this. I'm also not very precious when it comes to flipping steaks. I'm willing to flip a steak back if I think the other side needs more time. People who say you only flip it once and you let it sit, I believe are just being pedantic. While the steak is getting itself rolling there, I am going to grab another sprig of rosemary so we can finish this thing. Oh, it's hot out here. Guys, it's hot. I picked up a new variety of rosemary that goes by the name barbecue. It has a strong rosemary flavor and larger leaves. It's supposed to be very good for, specifically, barbecuing. This is not stuck, which means I'm going to give it a flip. Ooh. That's one fine looking barbecue. We need some butter, because I am going to finish this with some butter. Not the herby butter. The herby butter is for the vegetables, which we're going to do while this is resting. Because steaks always have to rest. I should get a plate ready to catch it. Because you want to put a lid on it while it's resting to avoid it cooling off too much. So, since I don't have a cloche, but I do have a lot of large mixing bowls, that's how I make a cloche. By the way, if you've never known, the thing that you put on top of a bowl like this is called a cloche. Or on top of food like that. I like these little crispy edges we're developing. Probably actually going to give this a second flip over. And maybe sear off the side. We should pick it up and sear off the sides. How's the bottom looking? Ooh. It's looking real good. I gotta say, it's looking real good. But I haven't done steak in a while, have I? Um, Whoa, that was a big pop. Early on in the channel, I did steak more often, but the price of meat has just gone so crazy. And as a reminder, you do not need to cook pork well done to be safe to eat. The current USDA recommendations allow for pork at a substantially lower temperature than those from decades ago. 1¼ cups of sugar to 2 pounds of rhubarb. Oh no, my little thermometer has died. I have more than one, but that's the easiest one to use. Okay, thermometer, the other one. Who's not in the box. Thermometer, this one. Because I'm going to give this a probe in a couple of spots. One closing in on 130. 135 on that part. 111 on that part. That part's real low. We do need to get it more than 111. Making a mess. Making a mess. Uh, 111 is too low. The other probe spots I think were pretty good, but that 111 is too low. We got to get that at least up to 125 for carryover, ideally closer to 130. We could also right now start the basting process. It was over here that it was a little bit low. I am not left-handed, and I have done this backwards. Ooh, it's hot. Good thing that's not the plate I plan on serving it on because it's got splatter all over it. So spooning the hot oil over the top of your meat while you're cooking it like this allows the top to keep cooking while the bottom is cooking. Otherwise, you just have to rely on doing the flip-flops. I think I'm going to call that at this point, and let it do carryover from here. We do need the big, and that burner off. Take the hot pan away from the burner as well. Take the plate, set it to the side, put a lid on it so it does not get cold. I'm hoping it's not well done in the middle. I'm hoping it's still pink in the middle. My poking it with a temperature probe just a bit ago suggested that it was good, but one of the spots was too cold, so I had to leave it in there a bit longer. Welcome in, pretty kitty, 2020. How are you? That was our pork shoulder steak with our rhubarb mint ginger marinade, which is currently over here getting turned into a sauce. I could try to feel it, but I have delicate fingy. Oops, stuff's falling over. Delicate fingies, and it's hot. So I was poking it with a instant read digital thermometer, which I set down somewhere now. Did anyone see where I set that down? Neat. You're making pork shoulder too. Oh, here it is. I don't have a pressure cooker, but I have found that you can cook them very much in the manner that you would cook a beef steak. I think we went over. I poked the thick part this time and it was a bit over, so we might have it well done. It might be a well done, hoping it's not going to be well done. We're not looking for rare, but we're looking for, you know, some blush left in the middle, so it's not dried out, because pork will dry out if you cook it all the way to well done. So that poke I just gave it had it at 153. Which isn't bad. So we're probably looking at a medium well. Hopefully that's just the spot near the edge, and we end up with a medium. We do have one last element to cook, and it is the part that no one has faith in. And the less you have faith in something, the more I'm going to try to do it. We have an ad coming up in about a minute. I probably shouldn't do this until after the ad. We're going to run the ad now. to get it out of the way. I always forget I could do that. And I will just poke at the sauce then instead. I kind of want to scrape down the cast iron there into the sauce because it's full of pork drippings. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to scrape down the cast iron into our sauce because it's full of pork drippings. We're going to make a essentially a pan sauce, but also adding the pork fat and the butter to the sauce will make it a much glossier, saucier sauce. Because at the moment what we had there was basically just tea that had been boiled to death. The ad is over. So let's check this guy for heat. Make sure the oil is well coated. And our weird, ill-advised, in fact, negatively advised vegetable. That is not hot enough. Be hotter. This is two things people typically would not serve as a vegetable. We're going to get out a pair of sticks for tossing them around. But yeah, this is two things people would not serve as a vegetable and would typically say caution against. And I'm using the both of them. Just to see what happens. Because you can't tell me not to. The more you tell me not to, the more I want to. I'm going to have to take the leaf parts off of the remaining rhubarbs in order to fit them in my fridge. So they're going to have to sit out until I get that far. You go ahead and be skeptical. I'm experimental. I counter your I don't think this will work with have you ever tried it? because maybe it's not going to work. It's definitely a possibility that this will not work. Pork tacos, tender in the pressure cooker. I don't have a pressure cooker, but yes, pork shoulder is definitely a cut that would take extremely well to either a long, slow cook or a pressure cook in order to really tenderize it out. It is interesting that you can also treat it like a steak. You got to be a little bit touchy with it. I feel like we might have overshot our doneness a little bit. I need to do a spoon test on our sauce real quick. It's thick enough. It's thick enough to use. So heat off on that one. Rhubarb crumble in the oven. Well, my rhubarb is starting to blister. And it hasn't turned to mush yet, so Jovial 1, Bookwoman 0. Bam. Our celery is blistering as well. We can tidy up a bit. It is very hard to make something truly inedible. I have done so. I have definitely done so, but you're right. It's very difficult if you have a basic grasp of cooking to make something that is completely inedible. It might not be the nicest thing you've ever made, but yeah. I've definitely had some failed experiments, but they were still food. They weren't just a mess. Get these guys blistering on the other side a little bit. I said blistering. Part of what makes me think this could work is that rhubarb, while it is getting a little bit softer around the edges, since it can be eaten raw, you don't need to cook it all the way through in order for it to be good enough to be finished. So we can remove it before it turns to mush. It is getting a little bit soft, so I'm going to jump to the part where I add our weird herb butter. As a reminder, this is a mixture of butter, honey, rosemary, sage, and mint. Which I also was just kind of making up when I grabbed those things. So there you go. I believe we are reaching a breaking point where the rhubarbs are going to just be mush in a second. So, time to get them out of there. before I can no longer get them out of there. But they still have some structure. Oh, okay. Some of them still have some structure. Cheese! It is, in fact, the Jovial Jovian. You are not mistaken. Welcome, 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 welcome. We are currently in the latter phases of a weird experiment. Welcome in. This thing that I've just put on the plate is blistered celery and rhubarb with a mint, rosemary, sage, honey, butter topping, which is pooling on the side. That's the butter. And that's fine because I will use the buttery corner to house our smoked paprika breadfruit fries with crispy pork fat topping. Then we will push the entire plate over so that we can retrieve the other plate. And we can find out if I overcooked this. Those juices should go in the sauce. But we're going to find out if I, in fact, well done this piece of meat. Got to avoid that bone that's running through the middle there. And I think this side is the nicer side for presentation. It's not tough. It's not... Well, there's a little bit of pink spots right in the middle. I think we're on the medium well side. I don't think we're on the well done side. I think we just missed it. Get into some of these thicker pieces. Yeah, right there. It's still got the nice sort of blush right in the center, which is what you want. So I think we landed in a medium well with more of a well on the thinner bits because this wasn't like perfectly level. So I think we landed that pretty good. Well, not as good as the last time I did one of these, where I hit a beautiful medium rare. and I was just thrilled, and that was one of the best things I've ever made. Was that. Okay. A little bit of presentation. We don't want to slice the whole thing, because I probably shouldn't eat the whole thing. Add my drippings to my sauce, and then add my sauce. One thing I will say, when we did this with strawberries, and I got poo-pooed for that one too. The strawberry sauce kept its ridiculous red color much better. The rhubarb loses its color when you cook it down. Grab a paper towel, clean up the edges for our presentation and photos. I have been very impressed. I've said it a couple times today already. I've been very impressed with this cut of pork. It acts a lot like a cut of beef, a similar cut of beef, and is, of course, much, much cheaper on account of it being pork. I'm going to soak up a little bit of the extra butter that's on the plate. I'm going to make a mess with it a little bit. I'm going to leave the drippings that are in the middle. And there we have it. There's the thing. Cheese got here just in time for the finished product. Knife and fork. We can't taste it yet. You know how this works. You know how this works. We have to take photos. I'm also interested to taste the rhubarb on account of it being a wild experiment with no precedent in my mind. I apologize if there is a low roaring sound. This room is the room with the air conditioner in it. So, and I put a bunch of crap on my photo station while I was cleaning the other day. I forgot to move it this morning, so I'm moving that now. Okay. We will be back to taste the various things. I expect the rhubarb to be delicious. You expect the rhubarb to be questionably edible. One of us is going to be wrong. I can't wait to find out who. I will say you were correct that it did soften up a lot faster than the celery did. Okay, there's only one angle of photos on this one because we need to get that blushed meat slice in there. So, okay, coming back. Here we are. Here's the thing. I guess we've already had a request as to which part I want to taste first, and it's the pan rhubarb, which is okay. It's holding together, but it definitely has lost its structure a bit. Not gonna beat around the bush. We definitely lost our structure a bit. But let's taste it. Give it the best chance because I'm going to taste it with the herby stuff, the sticky herby stuff. It's delicious. It's very sharp. It's got a lot of sharp sourness to it, but with the butter and these herbs have almost caramelized because they were covered in honey, so they're chewy and sticky. Mmm. It's actually very, very good. It has lost its structure, but it's not. It doesn't taste desserty. It tastes like a. It tastes like it needs a pinch of salt, actually. Not leaning into trying to make it sweet, I think has given us a very different result. It's not what I was expecting. Interestingly, the sourness of it is being tempered. Mm. It is definitely less structural than celery. Sorry about the top of my head there. Sorry about the top of my head there. Mm. Um, mm. If I were to do this again, I would ignore the stupid theme of having the celery stalks next to the rhubarb stalks. And I would probably cook the rhubarb less so that it was, and on a higher temperature, so that it was really blistering the outsides, but still had a little bit of firmness in the center. I think trying to get the celery cooked is what took me too far on the rhubarb. They don't cook together very well. That's the issue I'm having with them. Which isn't a huge issue. This is a workable starting point. Next, we're going to try this, our breadfruit home fries. Nice crunch. Nice, weird, almost tastes just like bread flavor. Mm. I love these things. Breadfruit is these pork cracklings are they taste a lot like pork cracklings, which I don't think actually goes well here. I might leave them out when I actually eat it. If you've never had breadfruit, it's a lot like a potato in terms of how you use it, but it doesn't have that starchy goop that comes off a potato when you try to cook it. It has a very dry surface on the cut surface, and it holds together really well. And it has this interesting property where it, once you cook it, especially if you cook it high heat like this, it tastes like bread. Like a very low yeast bread, like a flat bread, I guess. It's not flavorless. It's not just a plain flavorless starch. It has a flavor, but it's this mild, very very starchy bread-like flavor. I just love it. Um, I can't believe I've gone my whole life without discovering these until last year, and now I look for it whenever I need it. Um, I'm not going to eat that end piece for my first bite. I'm going to go for this one because we got a little bit of a pink, which is what I was trying for. We'll just snap the end off. Mmm, mmm, mmm. Okay, that big piece of fat that was in the middle that I said that I pointed at when I was saying there's too much fat is a little chewy. That part's still a little bouncy. The meat all around it, tender, juicy, delicious. So I guess if you're picking out a pork steak, try to select one that doesn't have a big fissure of fat through the middle of it, because that's going to be harder to cook out without overcooking the meat part. And that's why we trimmed off the fat layer, because again, we didn't have it in there long enough to render that thing out. Mm. Boy, it's been quite a long while since I just had a big, delicious piece of meat. Um, I don't eat like this very often these days. Um, Largely on account of cost, but also on account of it's a lot of meat. But sometimes indulging. Ooh, ooh, the sauce. That bite had a big dollop of the sauce on it, and the first thing I want to do now is add more sauce. Wow, that sauce is delicious. Mmm, it's so complex. It's savory and it's sweet, and it's got a little bit of a tang to it. And then it's savory again. It's got a different kind of savory. Mmm. Whoa. Okay. Okay. The sauce. You put the sauce on anything. Although a big component of this sauce is the drippings from the pork. So you probably couldn't make it just like this, but oh, it doesn't look like much. I'm not gonna lie. It just looks like a pot of brown. But dang, that is sauce. So this is the marinade from the pork, because we did a quick marinade, a short marinade. This is the marinade that I threw into a pot and just cooked it down. So it is ramp paste, mint, black pepper, sugar, salt, soy sauce, Worcestershire, balsamic reduction, ginger, we scraped the pork we scraped the pork drippings and also the rosemary butter from the pan into it. So it's got butter and pork fat and rosemary in it. Oh, and it's got some molasses in it. So there's a lot going on in there. There's a lot going on in there, but this is incredibly delicious. This is a winner. This stuff right here is a winner. Ooh, you can put that on anything. You put that on your breakfast cereal. Dang. Yeah, this is the whole thing's not going to happen often. I don't do steaks as a thing. I'm gonna dip one of these in this sauce. Yeah, I don't think you could make this without the whole shebang. Although you might be able to fake it with chicken in place of the pork fat, because most of the rest of it is stuff I've got on hand. Oh, I think there was a little bit of garlic powder in there too. Oh yeah, there was minced garlic and garlic powder in there as well. Good thing I'm recording this because I just don't remember what I put in my food pretty much all the time. We have an ad coming up right now, but I'm going to snooze it because I'm planning on wrapping up so that I can eat this while it's still fresh and hot. Um, so I'm gonna eat this while it's fresh and hot, and since I'm not doing mukbangs, I'm gonna do it in the privacy of my own, the next room over. So we're gonna send the love on to a new place. Let's see who's doing stuff right now. You know, Violet has rated us on Saturdays before, and I'm gonna rate Violet back. I'm gonna mute that tab and see if Violet is ending. Violet is not ending. Inca Violet is a variety art and gaming stream. I've talked about this before. She has a incredibly innovative trading card system on her channel. Or not, sorry, collectible card. You can't trade them. Collectible card system on her channel, where you can get cards just by watching the channel. You earn points and you can buy the cards with points. Currently, she's playing a card game. If you are familiar with Slay the Spire, this is not that. This is a game called Wild Frost. I've seen it played a couple times. It is like Slay the Spire. It is a deck builder dungeon crawler game, but it has a much cuter visual style to it. It looks pretty good. I have not tried it out myself, but it looks pretty good, and I think it's probably worth recommending to people who like that kind of game. Here comes our countdown. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for sticking around. And I will catch you next time.